Shalom. This Shabbat we are going to read Parashat וישב, and this time I'm not going to talk about the parasha itself. I'm going to talk about the issue of Bרכת, Geshמים, the prayer for the rain. That this year we are going to read in Motzai Shabbat, when the Shabbat finish on this week. So now this is an issue that always puzzled me since I was growing up, for a few reasons. Number one, why we in this particular halakha we follow a secular calendar, not the Jewish calendar. There is nothing else except Bרכת Hamad that is related to the sun from its name, that is associated with the solar calendar, but nothing else. So how come? It always really puzzled me. Number two, the date of the Bרכת Geshמים, sometimes it is on the 4th of December, and sometimes it is on the 5th. So why that change? Number three, of interest is that in Eretz Israel, they follow Hebrew calendar. They start Bרכת Geshמים on the 7th of Heshvan. And it is a Mishnah in Fitanit that this is when they say that. So how come in Israel they have it in the Hebrew calendar, and in the diaspora we say it in the secular calendar? Number four is that we say it much later than in Israel. How it is so? Number 5 or 6, whatever, a lot of us go to Israel during this time. So there would be a question that if I am still saying Barechenu, only with the do, and we went to Israel, what should we do? Should we follow them or continue with our way? And so I would like to address all these issues, not in that particular order. However, hopefully a lot of these questions will be answered by the time we are done. So now, from the beginning, why it is we in the secular calendar? Why do we follow secular calendar? Because there is Mishnah, there is Baraita that says that we ask for the rain on the 60th day of the autumn season. We do know that we have 4 seasons in the Hebrew: Tkufat Tishri, Tkufat Nisan, Tkufat Tammuz, and so 4 of them. So here at Tkufat Tishri, usually it corresponds to the equinox of the fall. And it makes probably sense because when the rain has something to do with the season, and we want it to be in the proper season. So now the question is why in Israel they ask it much before. There is also, as we said, that there is Mishnah that it says on the some people say the 3rd, some people say the 7th of Heshvan, and in any event the halakha is that we say it on the 7th. Why it is we wait until then? Because when we say Morid al-Tal, we say Barechenu immediately. When we say only the immediate, there is no gap. Here when we say Mashib al-Rah Morid al-Geshem, we say it in the Shmini Aseret. The other way, in any event, when we start Morid al-Tal, we say the first day of Passover. As I said, in the Passover, we say Barakenu immediately in the Hol HaMoed, the first in Arbit after the end of the first part of the holiday, we say Barakenu. Here we have to wait that long. In Israel, they wait 15 days. Here we wait a lot longer. Why it is so? Because they say that in Israel they wanted to wait only for the people that after the pilgrimage, after Aliyat al-Regel, they end, they give opportunity for the people to reach home, even to the distant part of the land of Israel, and they say it in Marhajban. However, in the Gola, that they say the 60th day from the beginning of the autumn. Why it is so? Because the explanation is that in Babylonia, they did not want to have rain when the people are still collecting their harvest, because it can be damaging to the grain. So they wanted to wait, and then they will ask for the Geshem at that time. So now we answered so far the question about why in Israel they follow Hebrew calendar, and because it has something to do with the end of the Shmini Atzeret, to allow people to go, and we answered why there is bigger gap in the diaspora, and that is because the meteorological, the weather in the Babylonian, they want not to have rain, so people, it won't damage the grain, more than likely. It's not mentioned that beferush. So now the question is that if somebody we do know that the equinox is on the 22nd, sometimes the 23rd of September. Why? And so if we add the 60 days, we come to that it will correspond to the 20th or the 21st of November. However, we don't say Barikalenu, Bרכת Geshמים, until December 4th or the 5th, and this year we're gonna say it on the 6th. So how come is that discrepancy? This is a big question. The answer to that is it has something to do with the calendars that they were used. Now, during the Emoraim, Shmuel especially, who was astrologer, and I believe he is the one who is also a physician. Apparently, one of those prodigious, brilliant mind. During that time, they were using the calendar that is called the Julian calendar. It is organized by Julius Caesar in the year 54 before the Common Era, and that year consists, according to Julius, that of 365 days and 6 hours. So what they do is that every 4 years they have a leap year, and then it will switch, and it goes so on and so forth. However, they discovered that the truth is that the year is a little bit shorter than 365 and a quarter. It is 365 days and 5 hours and 48 minutes and 45 seconds. So every year there will be a difference of 11 minutes and 14 seconds to be exact. So now, if we divide, we do know that every day it has 1440 minutes. 60 times 24, it will give you 1440. If we divide 1440 by 11.25, we will come up to the answer will be 128. That means that every 128 days there will be difference of 1 day. So now they realized, the Christian, that their Easter is becoming earlier and earlier, and in fact they realized that in the 1580, something like that, that the Easter came to be before the equinox. It was on the 11th of March, and they realized that something has to be done about it. And the Pope at that time, his name was Gregory, he decided that in the year 1582 he decided that to change the calendar. So on one Thursday, that the date was October 4th, he said that the following day it's not going to be Friday the 5th of October, it's going to be Friday the 15th of October. So he skipped 10 days trying to adjust it. However, he realized that this is not a permanent fixture, because there will be still again small difference, however, not as drastic as one day every 128 years. So they decided that for every 4th century, every 400 years, 3 out of the 3 times there will be leap year, and 1 time it won't be leap year. So they decided that those years, like for example, as I mentioned before, it was 1582. So the year 1600 it will be leap year, but the year of 1700, 1800, 1900 it won't be leap year, and that will keep pace more or less. It will be fine. So now because of that, from that time until now, we will add not only the 10 days, which is the difference between the Gregorian and the Julian calendar at that time. We need to add 3 more days, so it is now 13 more days, and that corresponds to December the 4th. So that explains that it is not the 20th or the 21st of November. It is the 4th or sometimes the 5th of December. So now we talking about that. In fact, I remember when I was growing up in Syria, they did not follow the Gregorian calendar. They stuck with the Julian calendar, and in fact they had something called the Al-Taqwim Sharqi, yani, and also the Russian Orthodox Church and many Orthodox denomination in Christianity, that they don't follow the Pope. They kept their tradition for a while, but however, one after the other, they are abandoning the Julian calendar in favor of the Gregorian calendar, because it is indeed more accurate than the Julian calendar. So now that explains why in Siddurim they were printed in 1800. In fact, I have one of those. One of my patients got it to me from one of the antique stores in Philadelphia. It said that Bרכת גשמים is the 3rd or the 4th of December, not the 4th and the 5th. And in fact, for those of us that Hashem, hopefully the Mashiach will come, and after the year 2100, the date is going to be not the 4th of December. And by the way, they used to say that the Simman is Baghdad, which stands for Bרכת גשמים Dalit of December. It's going to be the 5th or the 6th, and sometimes the 7th, like in this year, when we are going to read it on the 6th of December. So now and the reason that it did not change from the 19th to the 20th, and from the 20th to the 21st century is, it did not change from the 20th to the 21st century is that the year 2000, many of us will still remember it, was indeed leap year, because that year can be divided by 4. The 1700, 1800, 1900 cannot be divided by 4, and hence they were not leap year. However, 2000 it was leap year. So now that will answer the second question, why there is that difference. Now we ask question also, why sometimes the 4th of December, sometimes the 5th, and the answer to that is that the equinox starts every year either at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock and then 3 p.m. and then 9 p.m. So for the 3 years where we have the 393, they will be read on the Bרכת גשמים will be read on in the 4th of December. However, when the equinox starts at 9 p.m., that is already, according to the Hebrew calendar, the following day, and then we read it on December the 5th. And this is the explanation. And rule of thumb, not the rule of thumb, this is the rule is that any Hebrew year that can be divided by 4 will be the year that we read Bרכת גשמים on the 5th of December. This year we are 5776. It can be divided by 4, and this is the year that we read it on the 5th. However, because the 5th, as I mentioned, is on Shabbat, we postponed it until the 6th of the month. Now, the other question is the issue of the importance of the 60 days, and in what is the reason? Okay, granted that the weather condition in Babylonia demanded that they to wait for 60 days after the beginning of the fall season. However, like in different countries of the world, should they wait or no? Because like in America, do we need to wait? There will be really significant drought if we do it. So in fact, not everyone was in agreement. In fact, Harosh, Rabbeinu Asher ben Yehiel, he 1250 in Germany, and then he passed away he moved to Toledo, where he passed away. He tried to change the date, however he was not successful. So it's not really smooth. In any event, for simplicity, they say that in all the Gola we follow what the Babylonians did during the time of the Amoraim. So what do they do in the southern hemisphere, like Brazil, Argentina, and South Africa? They follow again what the Amoraim, the tradition of Babylonia, and we don't change. Now, what do we do? Like when we go to Israel. Today I was talking to Hacham Rabbi Edmund Nahum. I told him that when I go to Israel, I say Barech Aleinu, because we are Barech Aleinu, even though we didn't start to say it in the United States. And I used to say when go back to the United States, to go back to Barechenu. He told me, no, once you start to say Barech Aleinu, you continue to do it even when you come back. So now here, this is in a nutshell, we understood what is that dilemma that we had. So now we understood that why in Israel they follow the Hebrew calendar, because it is associated with Shmini Atzeret, and there are certain days to allow people to get back to their destination. In Babylonia, they had different weather conditions that it did require waiting 60 days after after the beginning of the autumn fall. This is number one. Number two, we understand that the difference, that even though 60 days should be in the 20 or the 21st, for the reason it depends on the equinox and time, that we say it much later. We explained that by the difference of the Julian calendar that was followed by the Amoraim at that time, with the Gregorian calendar that the majority of the world, but not the entire world, follows, and that can explain it. So in other words, if somebody does Google at that time, the October 7th will correspond to the 23rd, to the 22nd to the 23rd of September, exactly according to the Julian calendar. They are the same. It only skipped those 10 days because of the adjustment of the Catholic Church. Now we also understood why the difference between the 4th and the 5th, and in this particular year the 6th. We understood that. We understood what the people in different geographical location, especially the southern hemisphere, what do they do, and also we explained what many of us, when they go to Israel, what should they behave. So I hope that this is clearer now than it was before. And one last time, I'm not a rabbi, not at all, far from it, as a matter of fact, and I don't take my word for any halachic ideas at all. It's because I'm not that person. All that I do in these programs is that I share what I learned with others. And in this particular subject, there is a very good book that one time I spent whole Shabbat just reading about that by Rabbi David Feinstein, the son of the late Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, David Badel Hayim Aruchim Shalom. And also there was very excellent article that is written by rabbis, I should say, father and son, Arnold and Daniel Lasker. Arnold passed away. Daniel, his son, is now is a rabbi in Beersheba at Ben Gurion University. These are the main sources for this topic. So the most important thing is that what we say at the end of that beracha, that וסבעת העולם כולו מטובח. וברכת בגשמי רצון, ברכה ודבה, ותהי אחריתה חיים ושבע בשום. That at the end of the year it will be life and bountiness and peace. So I wish you these best wishes and the Shabbat Shalom and the Chag Hanukkah Sameach. By the way, that program I would like to dedicate it to the memory of my father-in-law, Moshe Matut, Ta'ala V'Shalom, who passed away the first day of Hanukkah 12 years ago. Shabbat Shalom.